Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and I'm here with Mad About Mini Paper Pads Hop, which was started by Moira and Crystal, and Follow a Sketch February, which is Sandy from Scrapping Reflections. And I'm combining the two with this sketch by Page Maps, and I thought this would work out because there's lots of layers and all these circles. I can pull out a mini paper pad and use up some stash. So the other day I created this layout of me and my best friend at the hospital, and I used a color box paper pad and some this, that, and the other daisy kind of things and buttons. And this picture is going to be on the facing page because it's the day after she was at the hospital, and we were so I decided that I wanted things to match, but not the whole kit and caboodle. So I'm using a mini paper pad. It's a 6x8 by Chamel. Never Grow Up, I think is what it is. I can't see that far. Never Grow Up. I've already cut some circles out of the papers. I've got some doilies, which I had on my other layout. I also brought in some scraps from the paper that I used on that layout. Excuse me. And I will bring in some more of the embellishments that I used as well. This is the base page, and I'm going to use, or that from the other layout. This sticker here is similar to one I used on the other layout, and then I did use some of these buttons and colors, and they're going to work out well in my opinion. So I have this yellow 12 by 12 paper for my background, and so I've got my paper, my embellishments, my picture, and my sketch. So let's see how this goes. So first things first, I had previously cut out 3 1/4 inch circles on my Cricut, and I did it out of 6 different papers, and then I made the little embellishment where the title goes. So first I matte my picture on that yellow paper that says Wish all over it, and that's actually going to be what I use as my title, is that yellow paper, because I cut a little circle out. You can see over there on the right, and that's going to be my title, is just Wish. And I may add something to that later. I think I hadn't decided for sure, but this is the day after my best friend's surgery. She was staying with me so I could take care of her. And so I think that I felt like using Wish as the title was, get well wishes, and she wished that she didn't have to have surgery, all that kind of thing. So because the circle that I cut was too small for like any real sized title. So I used another piece of the 6x8 paper and cut off the top of it. It had some wood grain and some little words up at the top, and I just cut the lines, and I made sure to cut them to where there is no pink. It's the purple and green, I think, and maybe some orange. And because my best friend does not like pink, so there is some pink on some of these papers, but I cover it all up. That is how I roll. So I use a doily on all 3 of the circle sets, and then I have 2 circles that I cut out of this paper. So see, those feathers have some pink in them, but I'm going to turn them to where there is no pink seen, and everything that has pink is buried. I know, I'm extra. So I love that polka dot paper right there. Probably my favorite in this entire collection. But I wanted to use it, and I made sure to cut the part at the bottom where there are no pink polka dots. So at this point I'm layering them, like one circle, the doily, and then another circle, but I'm actually going to go in and fix that and change it up a little bit here in a minute. But first I am trying to figure out what I want to use as my little scallop. And since it's kind of cockeyed, a 12-inch border or branding strip is not going to cover from one side to the other. So what I have is the branding strip from the paper that I used on my other layout, a branding strip from an American Crafts paper that has bees on it. Her name is Bree, and my son calls her Bee. So I usually will try and add a little bee on a layout with her. And there is some of that on the layout I did that this will be facing. And then I've got these strips from Creative Memories that have the scallop. And so I am going to work that out and make sure that it'll go from one side to the other. So here's where I'm deciding if I want one to be layered, and the doily in the front, the doily in the middle, if I want it coming up at the top, if I want it coming up at the bottom. And I'm just using some tear and tape because it's easier to work with in this situation. Plus, it's cheaper than using all of my other adhesives, except maybe the glue. But I felt like since I knew that I was going to leave them the way that I was putting them, I was good with that. So I was debating on if I wanted to do one doily in the back, one in the middle, and one in the front. But doing it in the front didn't make any sense. So I decided to do them all three with the dark circle in the background in front of the doily, and then the lighter colored one in the front, because the scallop that I'm putting down is that black, so it will be dark enough to have a distinction between that and everything that's going below it. So I do end up putting the circles a little bit further to the right than I would have had I laid this down first. So that's why I am faffing around with this a little bit, but I am going to end up putting it down to where I'm going to have to cut the corner off, which is fine. That's not how it is in the sketch, but I am okay with that. Had I put this down first and then put the circles back there, I would have had a better idea of where I needed to put it to keep that journal full, but it is fine. I'm not at all worried about it. So I put down this piece from the other layout first, and interestingly enough, this was in the trash. And I pulled it out. I mean, it's just my paper trash, so it's not like I was digging through, yuck. But it's the top of the paper, and it has a little hash marks across from where, the top of the page and the paper pad is. So I just cover that with the branding strip from the American Crafts paper that has the bees on it. I put this scallop up here at the top, and I want it to also go straight across and to come off at both sides so there's no gap. And I'm making the gap in the same place right there. And I'm going to do the same thing with the bumblebee, except I decided I wasn't going to cut that. I was going to lay it down and leave a little space on either side. So that helps cover a little of that, and it covered the little hash marks or dashes or whatever you want to call them, score marks down the middle of that like aqua colored paper. So now I am covering up some of that with my lovely picture, and I've already attached everything down. So these right here are super, super old embellishments. I couldn't tell you how old they are. They don't stick. There's no label. I have no clue where they came from. But they have like phrases on them about friendship. And so I used one on the other layout and wanted to bring some of that in here. So I fussy cut one of the daisies out, which is my best friend's favorite. And I tucked that in to cover up that gap. And so because it has that green, I left a little of the green on the outside so it would not blend in with the white on the paper. I brought in the green buttons from this sticker sheet as well, and another yellow button, which is what's in the middle of the daisy. And so that kind of brings that all together, and I put it kind of in different places and have a few different little clusters. And I'm going to put one of these daisies from Hobby Lobby in right next to or on top of the button. So you still see the button, but not necessarily like the whole thing, which is fine with me. I mean, there's no reason for them to be in full view or anything like that. I really just want that color to be there. So I am going to journal on these lines, but I'm not going to do it on camera, not for privacy reasons, just so that I'm not wasting your time. It's pretty much just going to say, well, first I am going to put the date on here, but it's pretty much just going to say day after Bree's surgery. We wanted to send a picture to our friends so they knew how she was doing and that she was smiling and up and moving. So it'll pretty much say that. So here is the sketch again from Page Maps. I do love theirs. They have a lot of really neat ones. So I hope you'll go below to the link or to the description box, because that is going to have a list of all of the people that are following along with Mad About Mini Paper Pads. And Crystal Barrett, which is Pineapple Papers, and Moira O'Reilly are the ones who started that. And I'm so glad, because I do have paper pads and I never think to pull them out because they don't necessarily go with any collections. They're just kind of random. So also, if you are interested in the Follow a Sketch February, you can go to Scrapping Reflections on Facebook. And of course, you can check out the hashtag and find us all over the place. Have a great day and happy scrapping.